You seem to be a very smart guy, and you seem to be a nice enough guy.
Thank you, Senator. You seem smart as well.
Jack.
Don't
That was the chairman, not me.
Don't you think your hyperbolic statements undermine your credibility?
What hyperbolic statement did I make?
On February the 11th, 2026, you posted on Bluesky, quote, my words, or your words, not mine. The Democrats' video telling service members to ignore illegal orders didn't go far enough. They should have also urged them to refuse unethical orders, whether illegal or not. There are many things deemed legal that are still obviously unethical, and everyone should hold themselves to this higher law, end quote. Did I read that correctly?
I believe you did. Do you disagree with it? You think people should do unethical things in their capacity
on December the 31st of 2025, you posted to in front of God.
But wait.
In
Do
front
you,
of,
do you
in
disagree
front
with
of,
what
let
I
me
said?
finish my question.
I'm
You
sorry.
answered, sir.
Sure.
In front of God and country, you said, quote, they, referring to Republicans, think they can troll their way into us accepting ethnic cleansing, end quote. Your words, not mine. Did I read that correctly?
That was in regard to a
Did I
Department of
read that?
Homeland
Did I
Security
read
post
that?
about advocating 100 million deportations. That is what DHS has tweeted from their own account. 100 million deportations
hurts, doesn't
would be ethnic cleansing. You would be
Truth hurts,
removing
doesn't it?
1/3 of the country. So yes, there
Truth
are
can
people
just
within the
gut you like
Department
a
of
fish.
Homeland
And
Security.
you don't think this is hyperbolic? Give me 30 more seconds.
I think advocating 100 million deportations is
I'm having fun here, Mr.
ethnic
Chairman.
cleansing.
On February
Yes.
5th, you quoted you said the following on Bluesky.
Your time's
Quote,
up.
these are all good, but there's no enforcement mechanism. I'm sorry. Let me try a better one. On March 2nd, you said, quote, if you rule against Trump's population purge agenda, no hyperbole there, the nativists will name you, threaten you, and come after you. These judges are much braver than the ICE agents who hide behind masks while violating the Constitution.
They are
Close
much braver.
quote.
They put their names on their rulings and they stand behind their constitutional rulings. When I talk about population purge, I'm talking about the fact that they're trying to deport U.S.-born citizens, people born here. They are trying to deport them as well. So it's not a mass deportation agenda. It is also an agenda intended to reduce the population of the United States, including U.S.-born people.
Thank you.
These are not hyperbolic statements. I appreciate you reading my account. I appreciate
Here's
your
the good
research.
news.
What planet did you just, wait a minute, Mr. Chairman, what planet did you just parachute in from?
No. Hey, guys.
You trigger my gag reflex, Mr. Beaver.
We got a process here, and it's good to know you don't have an agenda.
This exchange occurred during a Senate hearing in early 2026, where Senator John Kennedy questioned David J. Beer, Director of Immigration Studies at the Cato Institute, about social media posts Kennedy characterized as hyperbolic. The confrontation followed a pattern where Kennedy read Beer's posts, then responded dismissively when Beer defended them with factual context. David Beer serves as Director of Immigration Studies at the Cato Institute and holds the Celia Foundation Chair in Immigration Policy. According to the Cato Institute's website, Beer is an expert on legal immigration, border security, and interior enforcement. His work has appeared in major publications including the New York Times and Washington Post, and has been cited by the U.S. Supreme Court and multiple federal appeals courts. Beer previously served as senior policy advisor for Representative Raul Labrador, then chairman of the House Judiciary Committee Subcommittee on Immigration and Border Security. Kennedy's central accusation, that Beer's social media posts undermine his credibility, focused on 3 posts. The first, from February 11, 2026, stated that service members should refuse unethical orders, whether illegal or not. This relates to discussions about military personnel's obligations when given orders they believe violate ethics or law. The Uniform Code of Military Justice requires service members to obey lawful orders, but prohibits following patently illegal orders. Beer's position that personnel should also refuse unethical but legal orders goes beyond current military doctrine but reflects ethical arguments about moral responsibility. The second post Kennedy cited, from December 31st, 2025, used the term ethnic cleansing in response to what Beer described as a Department of Homeland Security post about advocating 100 million deportations. Beer's defense, that 100 million deportations would be ethnic cleansing because it would affect 1/3 of the country, depends on whether DHS actually posted content suggesting 100 million deportations. The U.S. population is approximately 340 million. The undocumented population is estimated at 11 to 12 million. All foreign-born residents total approximately 47 million. A figure of 100 million would necessarily include U.S. citizens, which Beer argued would constitute targeting based on ethnicity rather than legal status. The term ethnic cleansing has specific historical meaning: systematic forced removal of ethnic, racial, or religious groups from geographic areas. Whether deportation policies constitute ethnic cleansing depends on whether they target people based on ethnicity rather than immigration status. Beer's third post, from March 2, 2026, described a population purge agenda and stated that judges are much braver than the ICE agents who hide behind masks while violating the Constitution. Beer's defense that they're trying to deport U.S.-born citizens, people born here, references documented cases where U.S. citizens have been detained or targeted by immigration authorities. A 2020 Cato Institute study found that ICE detained approximately 1,488 U.S. citizens between 2012 and 2018. Whether these represent systemic targeting or identification errors remains contested. Kennedy's responses, "What planet did you just parachute in from?" and "You trigger my gag reflex," represent rhetorical dismissal rather than substantive rebuttal of Beer's factual claims. The exchange ended with Kennedy stating, "It's good to know you don't have an agenda," suggesting he views Beer's testimony as politically motivated rather than factually grounded. Watch Beer's opening statement, where he presents data on immigration's economic impact and constitutional concerns about current enforcement.
Chairman Graham, Ranking Member Merkley, and distinguished members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify. For half a century, the Cato Institute's research has shown that people, whatever their ancestry, background, or birthplace, can thrive in a free society. Immigrants come to work for us and with us to make our lives better. They work at higher rates and are nearly twice as likely to start businesses here. Immigrants have reduced government deficits by $14.5 trillion over the last 30 years. And yet, Congress has not updated the legal immigration system during that entire time. So just 3% of all legal immigrant applicants were approved in 2024. Rather than fix this broken system, the new administration banned half of all the legal immigrants who had made it to the end of that process, including spouses and children of U.S. citizens. The fallout from this flawed system is left to our cities to manage. In many areas, 1 in 5 residents lives with someone here illegally. Mass deportation is not an option for these places. It is an attack on them. It is taking Americans away from their spouses, parents, pastors, parishioners, employees, employers, customers, and friends. It's not us Americans versus them immigrants. Cities know immigrants are part of us. They also know that immigrants are here to build, not destroy. A mountain, literally a mountain of research proves that immigrants and reasonable limits on participation with ICE do not increase crime rates. Immigrants, even illegal immigrants, are half as likely to be incarcerated for crimes in the United States. According to DHS, only about 3% of illegal immigrants have any criminal convictions. Immigrants reduce crime rates, which means you're less likely to be a victim of a crime. Let me be clear. When a non-citizen does victimize someone, they should be convicted, imprisoned, and deported. But it is DHS that has ignored this formula. Just 28% of the people detained by ICE right now were convicted of any crime at all. This is no surprise. DHS has abandoned its public safety mission. It has stripped millions of vetted immigrants of their legal status just so that it could deport them. Instead of protecting us, DHS violates the Constitution. Its masked agents invade our homes without warrants. They detain without evidence, and they deport without due process. They intimidate, beat, and even kill Americans who protest. They arrest legal immigrants for writing opinion articles. They lie to the courts, and then they ignore them. With all this unconstitutional mayhem, Congress should not itself violate the Constitution by threatening local law enforcement, not for interfering with ICE, but rather for following their own local laws that they swore an oath to uphold. Under our system of federalism and the Constitution, Congress can't force cities to do its bidding, whether on immigration, guns, or the environment. If Congress wants cities to help DHS, it'll need those cities to trust DHS. But to get trust, you need to be trustworthy. And this DHS is not. Consider this, before this administration, non-citizens were more likely to report serious crimes to the police than the US-born population. Now, DHS is arresting immigrant crime victims. For example, in Iowa, a shooting victim who helped bring to justice violent robbers was arrested by ICE before he had even healed. But since he had a pending charge for an unpaid traffic ticket, ICE considers him a criminal. This has caused filings for U visas for crime victims working with police to drop by 63%. This is not making Americans safer. Congress must require DHS to focus on real threats, and it must empower Americans to sue federal agents for violating the Constitution. We need accountability and constitutionality to restore trust. Thank you.
Beer's opening statement presented specific factual claims about immigration's economic impact, crime statistics, and constitutional concerns about current enforcement practices. These claims are verifiable through government data and academic research. Beer's assertion that immigrants have reduced government deficits by $14.5 trillion over the last 30 years references economic analysis of immigrants' fiscal contributions. The Congressional Budget Office and various academic studies have examined immigrants' net fiscal impact, accounting for taxes paid versus government services used. The $14.5 trillion figure would represent cumulative net positive fiscal contribution. Though different methodologies and assumptions can produce different estimates, the claim that just 3% of all legal immigrant applicants were approved in 2024, reflects the gap between demand for legal immigration and available visa slots. U.S. immigration law sets numerical limits on various visa categories, creating backlogs that can span years or decades. Whether 3% accurately represents 2024 approval rates would be documented in State Department and USCIS visa statistics. Beer's statement that the administration banned half of all the legal immigrants who had made it to the end of that process, including spouses and children of U.S. citizens, refers to policy changes affecting legal immigration pathways. If accurate, this would represent a substantial shift in legal immigration policy, affecting people who had completed application processes. The crime statistics Beer cited, that immigrants, even illegal immigrants, are half as likely to be incarcerated for crimes in the United States, and only about 3% of illegal immigrants have any criminal convictions. Draw from research by Cato Institute and other organizations analyzing incarceration rates and criminal conviction data. Multiple peer-reviewed studies have found lower incarceration rates among immigrants compared to native-born Americans, though interpretations of this data and its policy implications vary. Beer's claim that just 28% of the people detained by ICE right now were convicted of any crime at all would be verifiable through ICE detention statistics. This statistic, if accurate, indicates that the majority of current ICE detainees do not have criminal convictions, which raises questions about enforcement priorities. Beer's allegations about constitutional violations, agents invade our homes without warrants, detain without evidence, deport without due process, intimidate, beat, and even kill Americans who protest, arrest legal immigrants for writing opinion articles, represent serious accusations. Each claim would require specific documented incidents to verify. The Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable searches and seizures, generally requiring warrants. The Fifth Amendment guarantees due process. Whether current enforcement practices violate these protections is subject to ongoing litigation and judicial review. Beer's example of the Iowa shooting victim arrested by ICE before he had even healed because of a pending charge for an unpaid traffic ticket illustrates his concern about enforcement priorities. The claim that filings for U visas for crime victims working with police dropped by 63% would be verifiable through USCIS data. U visas provide immigration status to crime victims who assist law enforcement. A 63% drop in filings could indicate victims avoiding police contact due to deportation fears. Beer's constitutional argument about federalism, that Congress can't force cities to do its bidding, whether on immigration, guns, or the environment, references the anti-commandeering doctrine established in Supreme Court precedents. The federal government cannot compel state and local officials to enforce federal law, though states can choose to cooperate voluntarily. The hearing revealed sharp divides about immigration policy and rhetoric. Kennedy characterized Beer's social media posts as hyperbolic. While Beer defended them as accurate descriptions of policies he argues violate constitutional principles and undermine public safety. Beer's testimony presented data suggesting immigrants contribute economically, commit crimes at lower rates than native-born Americans, and that current enforcement priorities target non-criminals while discouraging crime victims from cooperating with police. Whether these claims accurately reflect current policy and its impacts, or represent selective data presentation, remains contested between immigration restrictionists and advocates. What is documented? Beer has credentials as an immigration policy expert with work cited by federal courts. Kennedy's dismissive responses did not rebut Beer's factual claims, and the underlying policy questions about deportation scale, enforcement priorities, and constitutional limits remain unresolved by the exchange. We cover congressional hearings and policy debates regularly. Subscribe for more coverage like this.